Hello, welcome to Violaland, where we teach you how to play viola without taking any lessons. Today, I'm going to be showing you a side video, which is how to tune your instrument. Your instrument will come with either one or two tools to tune your instrument. My assumption for this video is that you're a beginner, in which case, if you have an instrument which lacks these fine tuners down here, then I would suggest going to your local string store and asking for a tailpiece, because otherwise you're going to end up spending a lot more just on string repairs, because it's much more likely for you to break strings using these tuners as opposed to these ones. These are the pegs, which are the coarse tuners, and these are the fine tuners. So as you can guess, the pegs let you make large adjustments in pitch, and the fine tuners let you make small adjustments in pitch. In order to increase pitch, you must tighten your strings. To lower pitch, you need to loosen your strings. When you're tuning, I recommend holding the instrument away from you if possible, because if a string pops, then although it is unlikely, you don't want to be hit in the face with a string. If you're tightening the pegs, it's pretty intuitive. You just rotate it counterclockwise towards you. Any of these, you just tighten them towards you. These pegs, since they're for coarse adjustments, even the slightest adjustment will result in a huge change in pitch. Like, you can adjust this by a couple degrees and it will jump from a C to a D. So you really want to make really tiny increments in order to get to the pitch that you want. If your pegs are slipping and you find it really hard for them to stay in place and they're slipping forward, then you can add something called peg dope, and it will make them stickier and have more friction and they won't bounce back. You can also add soap, make them slipperier if they are not turning very easily. If they're really not turning easily, then you might need to take them to your local string store and they will adjust the pegs to make sure that they're more fitted to the peg holes. Oh, one trick that I think not very many people know, and this will make your strings last a lot longer. When you get a new string, if before you put it on, you take a pencil and you go back and forth along the place on the bridge where the string is going to fit in, and you go back and forth, and same also here at the top of the neck. If you just draw over that spot with pencil and deposit a bunch of graphite there, that will lubricate the surface and it will make your string last a lot longer. So you should do that, because strings are expensive, especially if you get good ones, which, trust me, as you start to get better, you will want to get good ones. I am personally a huge fan of Perostro Passione strings. They are amazing, and I've tried a bunch of different types of strings. Those are my personal favorite, even though they're very expensive. But as a beginner, don't get those. I would start off with just dominants, and then once you get a bit more advanced, go on to Larson's, and then finally once you become really advanced and start playing solo pieces, etc., for those of you who do get to that stage, I would choose Perostro Passione strings. As a beginner, you're probably going to break a lot of strings, and you don't want to break really expensive strings. Another note, a string doesn't necessarily need to break before you need to replace it. A C string on a viola, since it's quite thick, can often last longer than a year, but the sound will sort of become really dull and it won't sing as much. So you should really make sure that if you're playing fairly often, that after a year's time you replace your C string. Same for bow rehairs. If you play fairly often, by that I mean a few hours a week, then you should really be making sure that you get a bow rehair once a year. And if you have a really cheap bow, then it might not be worth a rehair. You might just go and buy another bow, and that might be cheaper. But the point is that you will need a rehair if it's getting really hard to tighten your bow, and no matter how much you turn it, it will simply not tighten. Always make sure that at the end of your practice session, you are loosening your bow. Loosening your bow will make sure that your bow lasts a lot longer. Another thing that I believe, just because I thought this really helped me, was when you first start playing, I wouldn't invest in a very expensive instrument because if you do, it'll be much harder for you to squeak and the instrument will kind of disguise a lot of the flaws in your playing. So if you learn to be really good on a really cheap instrument, and again, don't get an abysmal one, because if you get an abysmal one, then it will just keep sounding terrible and you will give up on playing because you will hate the sound, and that would also be bad. Ask someone you know who plays viola to try playing on the instrument and see if they think that it's decent. If they can produce a nice sound on it, then that should be good enough. I really recommend Cecilio Mendini violas on Amazon. I think they sound really beautiful for beginner instruments and they're quite cheap. My instrument is an advanced instrument by DZ Strad and I love it to pieces. But I'm glad that I didn't start off with that instrument because I wouldn't be as good today if I had started on it and had not struggled with my first instrument, which was much worse. Sorry for the derail, back to tuning. So again, you tighten the strings by twisting a little bit at a time counterclockwise. You loosen the strings by twisting a little bit clockwise. The whole time you're going to be using either a tuner or a tuning app. For this tuner, when you get close to the pitch, the green light in the middle is going to light up and it will tell you whether you're sharp or flat and which note you are playing. This is also a great tool in order to try to develop your sense of pitch because you can select notes and try to match them. To use the fine tuners, if you turn them counterclockwise, you are lowering the pitch because the pitch is too sharp. If you turn them clockwise, then that means the pitch was too flat and you are raising it. So you would turn the pegs counterclockwise if you were trying to raise the pitch, and you would turn the pegs clockwise if you were trying to lower the pitch. You should try to raise the pitch if the note is flat, and you should try to lower the pitch if the note is sharp. The tunings for the viola are C, G, D, A. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe and like. See you all. Bye.